Bodyweight good mornings are one of my favorite exercises to recommend to people who are working on their hamstring flexibility or really want to be able to touch their toes. These are a great example of what active flexibility is. They require us to lengthen our hamstrings, they're pretty big range of motion, all the way up to their end range. And when they're at that end range, we tell those hamstrings to contract and to keep contracting until they're back to that shortened position. So this lengthens our hamstrings through a really big range of motion and strengthens them through that range of motion as well. So let's talk about how to do them. For this exercise, we're going to start standing as if we're going to do a forward fold. Feet hip width apart, toes pointing forwards. I'm going to keep my back flat. And for my friends with really tight hips, go ahead and bend your knees a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. We are going to find our flat back forward fold to start. That means I am going to lift my sits bones and my tailbone away from the ground, rotate my hip bones forwards, and then my lean through my torso just happens to happen because it's attached to my hips. I'll stop with my hands on my thighs, anywhere where I'm feeling that really deep hamstring stretch, going as far as we can while keeping our back flat, not continuing to reach with our arms and our chest rounding our back. I want you to stop somewhere with that back nice and flat. Once you've found your deepest hamstring stretch with our back flat, we're going to tell our hamstrings to contract by pushing our feet down into the ground. When we push into our feet into the ground, our body thinks we're trying to kick our leg backwards, which is going to engage our hamstrings. So right now our hamstrings are nice and lengthened. We're going to smush our feet down nice and strong. Feel those hamstrings contract. Lift our torso back on up. Nice flat back. Flat back forward fold. Butt sticks out behind me as I start to lean forwards, finding my deepest hamstring stretch I can muster with good form. Back flat, knees possibly are bent, and then pushing those feet into the floor to lift my torso. If this is feeling easy, we can take hands off of our thighs, bring them to our hips, so our arms aren't supporting any of the weight of our torso, or those arms can come out to the side, or we can reach them straight overhead. As long as we're keeping our back nice and flat, the farther forward we reach those arms, the more it's making our lever arm of our upper body longer, which makes it a little bit harder for those hamstrings. For folks with a little bit more hip mobility, you might be able to do this with those legs closer to straight, or all the way locked out if that feels okay on your knees. Or if you've got a lot of hip flexibility and you come well past neutral, you can go as far forwards as you can lean in that forward fold as that back is staying flat. Regardless of how deep you're going in the stretch, I want you to find your deepest version of your hamstring stretch with your back flat, whether that means knees are bent or totally straight, whatever your arms are doing. We push our feet into the floor, make those hamstrings contract while we lift our torso back on up. Aim for about 8 to 12 reps.
If you want to learn more stretches like this, you should totally check out the Flexopedia on my website. It's a free online library of stretches with detailed how-tos for both passive stretches and active stretches organized by muscle group. You can access the Flexopedia by going to dannywinksflexibility.com/Flexopedia or simply click the link in this video description.